Hey guys, I am back with A Shade of Novak, Book 8 in A Shade of Vampire by Bella Forrest. And a lot happens in this book because it has a bit of a background from the time that Book 7 happens, when the babies were just born, to the time they are 5 years old. And there is a problem with a different coven, kind of hitting close to home, because all of the islands that the humans keep going away from, they are the same ones that Lucas and his group of rebellion met. Sophia and the other humans, if you catch my drift. So that's a problem that Sophia and Derek have to figure out. They're also shading their children mostly from the vampire world because they want Ben and Rose to have as normal a childhood as they possibly can, being around vampires, at least shady and vampires, you know? Because the shady and vampires, we already know, are trustworthy and adore both Ben and Rose as much as humanly possible. So yes, Ben and Rose are aware of vampires. No, they are not aware of anyone outside of the shade being a vampire, if that makes sense. So their life consists of going back and forth between their summer home and Shadian life. But when they turn 5, the back and forth, that ends, because these disappearances are way too close for Derek and Sophia not to be involved in finding out what the what, you know? So they both decide to turn back into vampires and live permanently at the shade so that they have the resources necessary to figure out what the what. Not that they know what exactly to do once they figure out what's going on, but let's just take it one step at a time. So in order for the twins to live at the shade permanently, Derek and Sophia still want them to have as normal a childhood as possible so that they grow up not completely immersed in the vampire world and they have a chance to be normal humans. So they decided to send Ben and Sophia to summer camp every year. And yeah, that, knowing kids, that only goes so far for so long, you know? And it so happens that when Ben and Rose turn 17, they're like, you know what, summer camp, really, again? Like, that was okay last year, but we're kind of way too old for this stuff, so even though it's a self-defense summer camp, it's like, no. Ben and Rose have different ideas of what they could do with their summer. They have been invited to a beach house of their friends, their human friends, who have no idea vampires even exist. So that's their idea of last year being human, because Ben and Rose both have decided that they eventually do want to be vampires. Derek and Sophia have agreed to this with the stipulation of you wait until you're 17. Once Ben and Rose are 17, then Derek and Sophia will give them the vampire talk about what happens and what's going on and the possibility of vampires outside of the shade existing. That talk never actually gets to happen, though, considering things happen when Ben and Rose decide to go to the beach condo instead of to Scotland for this self-defense summer camp. That's where we meet Caleb and Stellan. Caleb is to Stellan as Derek is to Lucas. And we all remember how bad Lucas was, so yeah. Out of the two of them, Caleb is definitely the one with the soul. And that's why Rose kind of falls for it. Now, Stellan still has his hands on Ben, and that's a problem. But Caleb gets his hands on Rose and tries to save Ben from Stellan, but that doesn't quite work out well. So, yeah, we have Rose, who wants nothing more than to go home and save her brother. And we have Ben losing his mind over not being around his sister, because Stellan and Caleb live on different islands. Like, Caleb controls island over here, and Stellan controls island over there. So that's a problem. But like Sophia does with Derek, Rose talks to Caleb like he's a human being, like a person, and gets him to open up. And that's when we find out a little bit more about Caleb's background and his history story. And yeah, he has had a rough life. He fell in love with a witch. Well, with a human turned evil turned witch. Yeah, that and she never got back to the person that he fell in love with. So he's kind of mending a broken heart, all the while being tortured, literally, by this woman. And he knows that he is trapped on this island just as much as Rose is, because for some reason that he won't disclose to Rose as well as the reader, he can't stay away from the island for more than 7 days at a time. So when Rose decides that he is worth keeping around, she tries to convince him to stay, bring her back to the shade, her shade, and stay, live with him, live on the island. Just come on. Let's go back. Let's go to my parents. I'll convince them that you're the greatest guy and you don't have to deal with her. And he's like, no, can't do that. Sorry, not gonna happen. I'll take you back to your island when the opportunity presents itself, but I can't stay. So things happen, and yeah, you'll just have to read the book to figure out, does Caleb actually change his mind? Does he find a way to stay on the island? And what happened to Stellan? Does Ben get back on the island? Pick up the book and read it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if there are any other books that you want me to review, leave those in the comments as well. And in the meantime, I am off to book 9. Have a great day, guys.